Okay, chapter 36. What do we got, Moosey?
John's t-shirt will be Vriska colored now because of blood. Jake left Jane and brought Tavros. John being all introspection-y.
Yeah, so here's the thing where it's just another like a phrasing of like making out. They say going at it. And I
Mhm.
don't know, going at it to me implies more than making out. Like maybe it's just like some groping and not like anything more than that, but I don't know.
I honestly don't know. And
They
then
just
they said horseplay, right? And I'm like, oh, I don't know if
yeah,
that doesn't necessarily sound like sex to me either, but
it's yeah, I don't
it
know.
sounds like it could be like non-intercourse is what
Yeah,
I
it's
guess
like they got
maybe.
to third base. I don't know. It's weird. I just think that they wanted to make it vague. I don't know. I don't know what they wanted to do. There was just a lot of discourse about what it definitely said and what it definitely didn't say. So I that's why I keep bringing it up because I just feel like I can see the interpretations for all of it, right?
Mhm.
Depending on whoever is writing at that particular moment. Um, yeah, so John's back at his old house, the house he had with his dad. Um, Jake left Jane only wearing his underwear because remember, we have to sexualize this guy at every moment, and he didn't want to bring anything Jane might miss, which, yes, includes himself and Tavros. Um,
His clothes.
yeah. And then, I don't know, I forget, Jake said something about like wanting to leave, and John's like, that's pretty funny. I remember trying to help you for years, and you seemed to never be interested back then. And I'm like, did the people writing this don't know what anything about domestic abuse victims? Like, you tried
Mhm.
helping him once by kidnapping his son.
Yeah.
That's not that's not it. You didn't try helping him, you tried helping his son. Jade didn't try helping him at all and, like, just kind of, like, brushed him off whenever he tried reaching out. No one tried to help Jake.
Yeah.
And, fucking John narrative is like, has Jake always been this contemptibly pathetic, or is this too a function of the absurdity of this contorted reality? Jake has been an abuse victim for 16 years in a relationship based on gaslighting someone after date raping them.
And after a death.
Yes. Like, and yeah, then John goes back to talking about how his decision to not go fight Lord English means the entire world is his fault, and that conversation with Rose does not get brought up or mentioned or even glanced at. Like that never happened. And Jake says, I think I'm starting to realize that I've been going through life with the mindset that nothing has ever really been within my control. And like, this would be a great thing for Jake to talk about, like within a year or two after the game ended, or maybe even like in the prologues or towards the beginning of the epilogues, right?
Mhm.
This is not relevant to him being abused for 16 years. It feels like they're trying to say, look, he finally took control of his life and left the abusive relationship he was in and like did something for himself for once, and not reckoning with the fact that that is extremely hard for victims of domestic abuse and actually something that they are blamed for all the time, right? They are often blamed for and they often feel the blame of like, well, not being able to leave like before. But like, especially because Jane isn't just like Jane is basically the secret like political leader. Like she throws her money around to do what she wants. She's one of the few gods of the new world who uses this power. But no, this is a character flaw of Jake for not having left earlier because he's pathetic and let's other people take the blame for his inaction. I guess. Yeah, it's dumb and bad. Like he's talking like a victim of domestic abuse, and the narrative's not treating it like that because they don't actually know what victims of domestic abuse go through. Oh, God, it's so dumb.
Yeah. And then, story wise, I would have also expected to see, maybe their life living with John now, but no.
No, no, it does end before potentially any of that. But yeah, because John decides to let Jake and Tavros move in with him because he wouldn't do it if it was just Jake, but because Tavros is there, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Jeez.
And Jake convinces John to make up with Roxy so he can, at the very least, see his son, if not, also get Roxy out of Jane's orbit. But like, are we supposed to think like because when we find out that John hasn't seen his son, it is because John is having to steal glances of Vriska's text with his son in order to see what is going on with him. Are we now supposed to believe that was some like self-imposed thing and he wasn't actually explicitly forbidden from seeing Harry Anderson? Like, is this just because John has felt too awkward about reaching out? Like, what are we supposed to be talking about here? Like, he hasn't been allowed to see his son, or was that just implications that weren't supposed to be implications? Like, I don't understand what they're trying to do with this. But whatever. What happens in chapter 37?
Vriska and parenthetical Vriska are hanging out. The mayor's dead, dude. And John is just an extremely powerful being, the power to shape reality.
Yeah, and this is because there are shapes in the clouds that remind Vriska of John, that seem John coded, which like I mean, maybe true. We can't know, right? We can't know if Vriska is thinking about John and thus seeing that reflected in the clouds, or if John is so powerful he does in fact shape reality. We are also getting this conversation about how he is so powerful he shapes reality around him, while everyone is telling John, "No, you fucking idiot! You don't shape reality around you. This is just how it is. It has nothing to do with you,"
Mm.
including Vriska. Anyway, okay, so I'm like, oh god, and they're talking about like things that parenthetical Vriska is and other Vriska is like, didn't you blind some obnoxious bitch one time? Literally, who on earth would describe the event that way? How would that ever be a description of an event of that event that Vriska would have ever retained? Like how no one would describe it that way. Literally, no one would describe it that way. That's so weird. It's so weird that that is how she remembered it or like regurgitated it, right? And oh, now Vriska is sad about Terezi not being around, not referencing the fact ever in her mind that John said he thinks Terezi is dead, because I think that was written by a different writer. Because how would that not be a thing? It's like, oh, Terezi isn't around, and I'm going to be vague about wishing Terezi was around, but I'm not going to ever worry that what if she is actually dead, like John said, because that was written by a different writer. So of course Vriska wouldn't think about it because this Vriska wasn't written by that writer.
It's just so weird to conceptualize making a book where you like switch off chapters, but then maybe also don't read other people's chapters.
Right, exactly. I mean, I've co-written a game with someone. We had to collaborate. Like we were primarily in charge of like some characters over others. So like different dialogue would often be done by different people, but like it was like we were there talking with each other about the choices we were making, like as we were writing it. I don't know. Anyway, I said I do love this parenthetical Vriska introspection because the OG parenthetical Vriska was living her best fucking life and deserved being with the game over Terezi. You know, in that remember, I almost called it a lyric stuck. It's just a flash.
Yeah.
Vriska's like, we had a stable, pale relationship. I mean, like, I can see how Vriska would consider it that. Terezi definitely didn't consider it that. It was not a good, pale relationship for Terezi. And then she says, we couldn't connect in a deeper way because I was still the way I am, I guess. What do you mean? What do you mean you couldn't connect in a deeper way? If you, as a troll, are in a stable, pale, more allegiance, then you are connecting deeply. Being Morales is very deep. Like Equius and Nepeta had a very deep connection. Like then it wasn't stable. It was a pretty like bare bones, like a surface level Moraleship. You could have described it as that, a surface level pale relationship because you weren't connecting deeply. And then Friska's like, sounds like you love her. Yes, they were Morales. That is a romantic quadrant in troll society. Of course she did. They were Morales. Why is Vriska like, I mean, because Vriska wouldn't like say that shit anyway, but clearly the implication is like, it sounds like you are flushed for her, right? Like, why? Why is like from like I guess from like Vriska's perspective rather than parenthetical Vriska's perspective, but also from the narrative's perspective, shouldn't be treating Morales as less deep than mate sprits. That's not how troll romantic relationships work. I mean, that's not how like you should treat like romantic relationships versus friendships anyway, like
Mhm.
regardless. But if you are trying to say like if you are trying to say a romantic relationship is deeper, those are both romantic relationships in troll culture.
Yeah.
None is deeper than the other. Like, I don't know. And then Vriska tells parenthetical Vriska that John has been talking to Terezi, which parenthetical Vriska is surprised to hear and surprised to look at the text messages and see they were flirtatious. You know, after John says he thinks Terezi is dead and the parenthetical Vriska needles him for having a crush on Terezi,
Mhm.
she's surprised about this flirtatious conversation. This is blowing her mind. Like, she says this is blowing her mind.
Mhm.
And again, she's not wondering about the fact that John said that he thinks Terezi's dead. Like, they didn't talk. Like, they didn't talk. These are like
Yeah.
just a few chapters later. This is so dumb. I'm it's my mind is blown. This is blowing my mind about how bad the writing is. Again, I'm not even talking about the character decisions. I am talking about the straight up, you are not acknowledging a thing that happened a few chapters ago and it makes no sense. Sorry. I always feel like I'm just such a hater whenever I do these and I'm just venting and raging and everything. But like, I
It
don't know.
yeah.
Okay. What do you your chapter 38 is a little bit longer.
Slightly.
Slightly.
Well, there it had the one thing that I've actually enjoyed about the whole story so far.
Yeah.
So Roxy and John met, and Roxy says Jane is not literally evil, which debatable.
I mean, let's have a philosophical conversation about the nature of evil and if a human
Yeah.
can truly be an evil person. No, I get you.
John talks about how Roxy and Callie were a thing, but he butted in. Roxy says he's not allowed to say that her life isn't real or something. I'm just trying to imagine a guy trying to mansplain to me my own reality, and I'm kind of pissed off at John now too. And then I quoted, "Me and Callie wouldn't have told you you had a choice if it was all some meaningless BS." And then the part that I liked was just Roxy talking about being non-binary and how being pregnant didn't like dispel that feeling of being non-binary. It just kind of like, oh yes, this is the function of my body, or making a child. Her body didn't feel specifically females, but felt like hers, sort of thing. And I was like, that's nice.
In some ways, I'm one of those like more squicked out by the idea of ever being pregnant, but like that doesn't take away from the very nice moment it is for non-binary people who have been or would like to be pregnant, right?
Hmm.
Or like trans people in general. I agree. Like the only potentially good thing about this whole like Roxy and John conversation. This is the first time we've been in Roxy's point of view in Candy. This is the first time we've had her inner thoughts about anything. We've been
Yeah.
Jane's, Jake's. We haven't been in Gamzee's. We've been in Harry Anderson's. Been in like so many of the characters. Carcats. I don't think we've been in Jade or Dave's. I can't remember. I know we get into Dave's later.
Yeah.
But yeah, and we haven't been Roxy's before, and I think this is relevant to how we are interpreting this section.
Mm.
So, like, on the one hand, Roxy is still being naive about Jane. Is like, yeah, he's being so paranoid. Like, John and Jake are being so paranoid about, like, of course, Jane's not going to just send the forces in just because, like, John's coming to see his family. And I'm like, okay, you don't understand Jane yet. And she's like, she's distanced herself from Jane. And I just think this is very convenient because this has been years of Jane being a fascist and now suddenly or like a xenophobic, like genocidal fascist. And now suddenly Roxy's like, I don't know, maybe she is a bit too much of an asshole for me now. And she only
Yeah.
describes Jane in terms of being a jerk or an asshole and being like she's not literally like evil. And I'm like, philosophically, I agree with you, but not colloquially.
Mhm.
colloquially, Jane is literally evil.
Mhm.
Like, sorry, I don't know how you still don't see that she is doing a genocide and has abused two people, three people, including her son.
Mhm.
I don't understand you. I don't understand this line because, like, again, John is like mansplaining reality to her, which again I get. I am with you that I would be pissed at that too. But we are also from her point of view, and we are also have also been in John's point of view that like she has seemed like she is not a real person the several times we have
Yeah.
seen her, right? But we're in her point of view now, and we see her as a real person because we are hearing her thoughts, we are hearing her thought process, we are seeing like how she is reacting to John and the fondness she has for them in the distance, and we are seeing the complicated three-dimensional character she is now. She has not been until this second of the story.
Mhm. Yeah.
But she says she knows more than he does. She doesn't need to hear it. She's not a kid anymore, and she doesn't have to pretend someone else is right just to keep the peace if she doesn't want to. What the fuck are you talking about, Roxy? When have you ever acted like that? She blew up Jane's computer to make Jane believe what the truth was. She meddled in affairs of other people. She made her feelings very known and did not keep the peace about them. Like, she never went along. No, that's not a thing that happened. That's not a thing that happened. We have never seen that happen with Roxy. I like maybe if I think really hard, I can sit down and like come up with a thing that they could be referencing, but I cannot think of anything right now in canon that is Roxy sitting by and agreeing with other people just to keep the peace. That is not.
Yeah.
All of the alpha kids were toxic as hell to each other. Honestly, Jake's more of that person. Jake is more of someone who sat back and agreed with people
Yeah,
rather than rocking the boat. That's Jake's thing.
definitely. Yeah.
Like, Roxy, if you wanted to like not agree with people just to not rock the boat, you should have done that a decade ago when your best friend was turning into a fascist. Not with your ex-husband who's
Mhm.
having a mental breakdown. I mean, also, like, you shouldn't agree with him if someone who's having like an existential crisis be like, "You're right, nothing is real, honey." But like, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, this is not now the time for the realization, especially since she's still like, "Nah, Jane's fine. She's just kind of a jerk." I mean, because he's asking like, "Didn't you feel like? Don't you feel like something's wrong? Didn't you feel like something is like off about this?" And she's like, "I mean, I felt something, I guess, but it's not just you. You've never been the only player in this game, you know." And like, it was just John. It was just John. We saw this happen. We saw not from anyone. We saw like Rose and Kanaya, where Rose suddenly stopped giving a shit about canon anymore. None of that mattered. We have
Mhm.
seen Roxy being real weird about shit. Like fucking, we had that conversation with like Roxy, Kanaya and Rose, where they're all like, clearly Vriska's dead. What are you talking about this whole canon stuff? Why do you still think that's important? Like pretending that it was never a huge deal that it was. Like we saw Roxy, which I'll keep getting into this here in a bit, suddenly dump Callie and go off with John for nothing.
Yeah. Be like, "Hey, at this funeral, let's get married." Like, "Hey, I have an idea, let's get married."
Yeah, like there's so many times Roxy has been objectively extremely fucking weird. And yeah, but like even before the funeral thing, whenever like Callie just let herself get cucked, like let John steal her girl and go on a date with Roxy, leaving Callie behind without a second thought. Roxy or John thought more about Callie's feelings than Roxy did. Gamzee offered to murder John for Calliope because John was stealing her girl.
Mhm.
Gamzee cared more about Callie's feelings than Roxy did. What do you mean? The Callie stuff with gender, I think, is lame because she's just like, oh yeah, well, I was exploring gender stuff with Calliope and like kind of called Calliope her girlfriend. I'm like, so you were dating, and then you broke up without saying anything. It was just a mutual understanding when John didn't leave that you went off with John and left Callie in the dust. What happened here? What do you mean like a sexy skull girlfriend? And then exploring gender with that, maybe not feeling gender, and then like marry John and just couldn't talk about it with John. And I guess stopped talking to Callie about it too. I don't.
I mean, it almost just from my point of view in the story, it sounds like she doesn't even talk to Callie. I mean, but I mean, Callie's brought up here and there, but there's nothing that leads me to believe that she, like, is friends with Callie.
Right. Like John will say, of course, Callie is trailing along after her, right? But like it is only from John's perspective that we ever sometimes see Callie with Roxy, and that is only at like public events, really.
Mhm.
Only at funerals. No wonder Calliope is happy when there's a funeral as well with Roxy, because that's when she gets to see Roxy, is when someone dies. Calliope actually turns into a serial killer. Yandere Callie AU.
Mhm.
Incredibly funny. But okay, so this is where I'm gonna sound like a hater, and I swear I'm not trying to be. I'm gonna read my notes.
Mhm.
I know this moment is very moving for people, and I don't want to dismiss it. Obviously, it's super cool that being pregnant helped Roxy connect to her body in a distinctly non-gendered way. But I've just been reading about so many historical accounts of trans masks and unaligned non-binary people who were pressured to give up their gender shit in order to be mothers and wives, or actively forced to do so. So Roxy, talking about putting off her gender exploration on the back burner because she is getting married to John and leaving Callie behind, just hits different this read through. That's not what
Yeah.
they were intending to do, but I think that this is a very important unintentional thing that they fumbled, and they should have thought through more. Like the whole not thinking about it because she's with John now is a like relevant thing that has kept trans masks in the closet forever. This is a
Yeah.
thing that is still happening, where trans masks are being married off so they will stop doing their gender shit. So again, I love that I love her like finding peace with her body as a non-gendered thing, the thing that is her and not an inherently capital F female body, by being pregnant, and that's all very cool. But the way that they framed it is that she stopped thinking about her gender because she got into a quote unquote heterosexual marriage. You know?
And I will say, like, as someone who went through fertility treatment and stuff, like, I still always consider myself non-binary, but also, like, just too lazy to pursue, I don't know, looking more masculine.
Yeah.
Or I'm just lazy. I'm like, I'm just an entity in the computer.
Oh, real. Yeah. I am trying to pursue more shit, but I mean, yeah, I just, this physical form does not represent anything. Like, even me
Yeah.
changing it is never going to be like, I am just an entity in a computer, is so real.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I said, I don't want to discount all the cool stuff that was done with the pregnancy thing. I think that's extremely important. People are so weird about pregnant trans people, like
Yeah.
extremely weird, both in and outside of the trans community. But yeah, I just think their implication, they have a lot of unintentional implications of, I stopped thinking about gender after I got with you instead of Callie.
Mhm.
Again, I can't say how I would have rewritten it. I'm not saying it's inherently bad. I just hadn't thought of it from this perspective before, and I wanted to bring it up. Moving on from that, I'm glad John is talking to Harry Anderson, because his son shows up at the very end, and they finally like have a talk off screen. Um, we found out John wasn't able to talk to him for years because he would have to sneak looks on Friska's phone in order to see how his son was doing. John was being kept from talking to his son for at least some amount of time. Maybe they were trying to imply that this was a soft boundary that John could have like made an effort to actually contact on good behavior or whatever, but that's not what was shown. This entire chapter is just, trust me, this is the real interpretation of things, and all the stuff that happened earlier is just because John was up his own ass. It doesn't work. This is a dumb chapter, minus the one good thing.
Yeah.
Because again, this is the third time we've been gaslighting John, that he's actually just been having this weird existential crisis about reality, and he's not actually that important to the universe, or more important than anyone else. And I don't know. It's dumb. It's dumb. I can say
Yeah.
it again. I've said it like 7 times. But we are on to epilogue 8.
Mhm.
Chapter 39. Oh, tell me your chapter 39 notes.
Okay. Those notes are, um, Obama. Obama is
Specifically,
challenged.
Obama. You weren't umming and then reading your notes. Your note is Obama.
Yeah, it's just like, well, Obama's here. Obama is challenging that Dave still loves Carcat. Gender and sexuality studies Obama, as in like Obama's discussing gender and sexuality studies, implying that Obama loved Dirk, and then Dave becomes a robot.
Yeah. I have a few more notes about it. Honestly, not as long as some of my notes, but a few more notes. Dave and Jade into war. You see, Roxy being pushed by the narrative into a straight marriage and abandoning her maybe not girlfriend and giving up on exploring her gender identity for years is cool and free will and autonomy. Dave being pushed into a straight marriage and abandoning his totally not boyfriend and giving up on exploring his sexuality for years is bad and tragic. It's just such a weird thing to happen back to back.
Yeah.
It just feels weird. Like I don't think they realized they were doing it. It's entirely unintentional, but having these back to back is the first time I really realized that these are the two narratives of these two characters. And it's weird.
Mhm.
Obama. I don't want to take notes on this. That's what real leadership is all about. Looking at the big picture, seeing the long road ahead, making the hard choices for the greatest good. Obama is Vriska confirmed and Alt Dirk. That's literally what Vriska and Alt Dirk are all about, and everyone hates him for it. Everyone boos. Vriska and Alt Dirk, I have to do these things for the greater good. Everyone boos, suddenly up in the back. He's right. It's Obama. That's not how the meme goes, but pretend.
Mm.
I forgot the canonized Skynet lore drop in the epilogues. Jake Harley is, in fact, Obama's, like, step uncle or something. I forgot. In the Skynet lore drops, yeah, Jake is canonically related to Obama. Like Jake Harley, like Jade's grandpa, not Jake English.
Yeah.
There is someone made a family tree for everyone based on the Skynet lore drop. It is extensive, and that is only because of the Prospect kids. You know, the Durst kids still have their like fairly simple ectobiological paradox clone bullshit going on that gets explained, right? But like the Prospect kids fuck. You know? Like Dad Crocker and Dad Egbert are biological children, and we find out who their fathers are. I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure we find that out. Jake goes off and fucks a lot. Jake Harley. And we find out how he's related to other people. Then there's also like some weird clone shit going on with Guy Fieri and Juggalos. And we find out who the Condis fucked. Colonel Sassacre is Mark Twain. I forget if that's said in the comic, but Colonel Sassacre is Mark Twain. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay.
It's complicated. I will one day I'll show you the chart. I'll look up the chart and show it to you at some point. But like, yeah, no. According to Skynet lore drop, this is canonical. So Skynet lore drop is canonical to the epilogues. Honestly, I know people who consider it more canonical than the epilogues because it was written while Homesick was still being written, and it just wasn't released until New Year's 2019. But yeah. So I mean, you know, everyone can have their own interpretation of what they call canon or not. That's the Homestuck way.
Mm.
Dave says, I somehow ended up as the version of me who didn't stay as true to myself as I could have, which is just Terezi vibes. I wish Dave and Terezi had been able to chat about this. That would have been cool. But I also wish John and Roxy would have been able to talk about how they are both from the Game Over timeline and none of their other friends are. And maybe that's weird. And maybe they could have maybe Roxy could have also felt weird about it and they could have bonded over the weird unreality of the situation. I don't know. That could have been something Roxy brought up at the end of like, she also felt weird. How do you not think it's weird to know that like I'm friends with someone who killed me in the timeline she's from? Like, I don't know. They don't explore that. They don't explore Terezi and Dave having similar feelings about an alternate version of themselves being more themselves than they are. I can't believe Obama is nudging Dave out of the closet. Dave says, for a little while, I had a bro I could talk to him about stuff, but then it's like, no, you literally said that the majority of time, instead of actually talking to Dirk, you just imagined what Dirk would say in that scenario. Which is healthy for both of you. Like you didn't let Dirk connect with you in reality. You just imagined what he thought he would said, which maybe that was supposed to be a hint at Dirk controlling like Dave's thoughts and like having that connection with him or whatever, like leading up to me. But like Dave from his perspective, never actually, like, almost never actually talked to Dirk. He talked to a version of Dirk in his head.
Mhm.
Okay, and then I just like did this whole quote. Obama. Statements such as, I am gay, I am straight, I'm a man, I'm a woman. These are statements about an individual that gain strength through their power of belief we invest in them. But there is another, more generalized truth about a person that can emerge when such conviction is absent, when the partitions of mind dissolve and the boundaries between everything you are now and everything you might have become begin to fade away. Dave, oh, you're talking about the ultimate self. And I have like a few interpretations of this that I think are fun and I'm not really taking necessarily seriously. It's just a very weird thing to turn from like gender studies Obama into the ultimate self, you know? So I'm just going to read these notes.
Okay.
So, like, when you're old, are you every possible sexuality and gender you could have ever possibly been at once? Are you like a gender, but also all gender, arrow and ace, but also hyper romantic and sexual? Are you nothing? Are you everything? Does that even matter? Are old selves inherently enlightened above the need to have any distinction between gender, between any type of attraction? Or I guess once you are your old self, you are yourself. So, in order to figure out if you're really gay or really a woman, you have to surpass human limitations and become your old self. They thought they were cooking with that. So, John's story arc is stop worrying about canon or thinking you're more important than other people or what real even is, and just accept that you were a shit husband and dad, and you need to start being a better dad and a better person in general, and just live a normal life because everyone is cool and happy here. And Dave's story arc is, yeah, all that weirdness you've been feeling is real. Yes, you can now finally accept you're gay. Also, you're so fucking cool that this reality is not meant for you, and you need to get in the robot, Dave. Get in the robot. And abandon your wife and do your duty. John is told his whole life being tortured with doubts is dumb and he just needs to get over it. And David gets a new robot body to ascend beyond all his doubts and also leave a corpse for Jade to find. And also real. Like he does leave behind a corpse that if Jade goes looking for him in the direction he disappeared, she's just going to find his dead body.
Mhm.
It's funny. It's funny to have these back to back, to have Roxy's queer journey and acceptance and Dave's queer journey and acceptance, and then John's journey of his importance and the reality of this current world, and Dave's journey with his importance and the reality of this current world. They come to different conclusions. And not
Yeah.
like because they personally came to those conclusions, but because other people told them those were the right conclusions. It's contradicting itself narratively. Like especially the Dave and John thing. Like the Roxy and Dave thing is like less so. I just thought it was interesting to note. But John is still being gaslit. That's the end of this is Rose, Roxy, and Jake gaslighting John still. It's the narrative gaslighting John is what's happening here. Like, yes, they're real, and I would also be upset if someone it came and told me that they're not real. If my ex-husband, the father of my child, said, "Actually, I don't think you're real, and I think I warped your actions to be with me and leave Callie, and that wasn't of your own volition." Yeah, that would be upsetting. But from the reader's perspective, from the narrator's, from like the perspective, yeah, that's what happened. I'm sorry you're upset you're a character in a book.
Mm.
You're still a character in a book, and John is kind of starting to realize that, or like is being gaslit into not realizing that, I guess. I keep using gaslit a lot, but like I don't know how else to describe what's happening. But instead of being told the things he's seeing aren't real, he's told the thing he's seeing are real when they're not.
Mhm.
You know what I mean though? Like I don't
The
want to overuse.
psychosis. Like the
Yeah,
AI psychosis.
right. It's so weird. It's just weird. It's just weird that like John isn't super cool and important, except for when Vriska gets to actually say he is as cool and powerful as he thinks he is, actually more than he even thinks he is, even though she
Mhm.
told him he wasn't. The Obama thing was so dumb. Obama apparently fucking an alternate version of Dirk was dumb, or I don't know. It's also dumb.
Mm.
It's the Obama comic. It's the Obama comic. Dave talks about Obama in the comic. We have Obama in here. And there had been jokes
Mhm.
about, I think there had been jokes about like Obama going off and doing an Esperb game with Bro. I think has been a fandom joke for a while. I forget. I never really paid attention to that, so I could be wrong about that. Okay, what's your chapter 40 notes?
Well, Aradia and fake Jade talking. This is really slow. A martyr died and said fuck. Something something Event Horizon Supreme Unification with other half. This is kind of hard to like stay lucid or like awake for reading this.
Yeah, there's a lot of talking. There's a lot of talking and Alt Calliope being esoteric on purpose. Aradia, there's something off about this place. Alt Calliope, yeah, you dumb idiots. You don't know shit about what canon is, you dumb lesser beings, you dumb fucks. Bro, you literally explained to them that this was not a canon place. Like, I don't know, a few epilogues ago, like this was already talked about. You already talked about how this was less real. You already had this discussion. This was already said. Calliope has supplied the Candy timeline with artificial gravity in the sense of reality and canon and relevance, not as in physics. So things have more narrative weight here because of Alt Calliope's influence. I assume like we are able to read it because of that. I think this is supposed to be the implication that like this whole conversation is supposed to be the implication that Calliope has been the narrator of Candy. I forget if it's confirmed in Meat or if this is just the implication and the interpretation of common interpretation of this, and so people just say that Al Calliope is narrating Meat. To me, it makes a lot of sense. I have talked a few times how it feels like the narrator has a very specific voice instead of just being a more passive narrator, and especially in this, in her example, like I realize she's trying to like the biggest flag of this is like giving the example of what we see Dirk do in Meat, where it starts out as a narrator, but then suddenly it switches to yellow, and suddenly it is Dirk narrating, and has been the whole time. I think that is also what is being implied here, that Calliope has been doing this whole time, right? Quote, the prince I am referring to electively removed himself from this reality in order to strategically consolidate his power. He cannot threaten this world, and yet sequestering himself elsewhere has become infinitely more dangerous. Fuck you. Fuck whoever wrote this, and Dirk's suicide for real, actually. The framing around Dirk's suicide is so gross. It's gross. Everything they say about Dirk's suicide is gross,
Yeah.
and they should be ashamed of themselves, like genuinely ashamed of themselves for this. Like it's disgusting. Electively removed himself in order to strategically consolidate his power. Okay, bro. You were talking about how good and just it was, and how it was the thing he should do. Like when he was killing him. Like it's so gross. I can't even. Like it's disgusting. So
Mm.
Alt Calliope is talking about how Alt Dirk is narrating Meat. Okay, I kind of go through that. Oh yeah, I don't understand why they still say Jade is saying it whenever it's Alt Calliope. I know I keep saying that, but I just saw the screenshot I posted. I'm like, oh yeah, there's Jade. Once the hidden speaker becomes unmasked, then retroactively the story may be considered spoken all along. And so too, do we retroactively change how we regard what has already been spoken? Aradia. Yeah, I guess with our martyr story, by revealing yourself as the teller, it turned out you weren't even sympathetic to the very story it seemed you were trying to get me invested in from the beginning, almost like a mean prank. I just wrote, stares at the camera like I'm on The Office.
Mm.
Okay, this doesn't make it good or fun, by the way. You acknowledging
Yeah.
this, you're still dumb. Lord English is going to come through the
Mm.
black hole, and Calliope is going to consume him so she can stop Dirk.
Okay.
So that's gonna happen. Finally, we have the
Mm.
postscript. Your notes are about as long as mine. Go ahead and read them.
Spaceship. Who is she? Who is she doing laundry for? Why is she doing his laundry? Like the sexist shit. Why is she doing laundry? What's going on? Is it Jade and Dave
Yeah,
robots? Because it seemed like a robot, and I was like, well, Jade had a robot and Dave's a robot now. Is this what we're doing? No, it's Rose bot talking to Dirk, and I don't know what's going on.
I have. We're in space, hundreds of days away from Earth's sea. Oh, they find a planet they've been looking for years. It's Rosebot, who is doing Dirk's ironing out of boredom, and some mysterious third person at the very least. This was hard for me because I obviously know more, so I didn't want to like be super obvious in the
Mhm.
notes because I couldn't remember how much they actually revealed at the end. It is fucking terrible that they have Rosebot doing Dirk's laundry. Like she does say it's because she's bored, but like again, I had to
Who does laundry when they're bored?
right, yeah. Well, apparently they've been doing this for like fucking years, But like, and then his like, oh, where am I? Did you finish like ironing my pantaloons or where am I? Whatever. Like he says at the end, and like Dirk is
Mhm.
not like there is nothing in the canon of Homestuck showing Dirk to be misogynistic. But after the epilogues, there was a lot of like, of course, of course Dirk's misogynistic and because of this, this, and this. And then even more of course Dirk's a trans man. He's so misogynistic. Yep, because transandrophobia, anti-trans masculinity, whatever you want to call it, prejudice against trans masks was rampant. On Homestuck Twitter in 2019, 2020, I actually wrote a Medium article about it because of how fucking bad it was. And a lot of it was centered, like Dirk was used for that a lot as well. Like, oh, Dirk is a toxic misogynist. Oh yeah, that makes sense that people had him as trans mask then. Like, it's disgusting. And I hate that they decided to make him like do this misogynistic thing at the end. Like, there's no reason for Rose to be ironing Dirk's like outfit. Like, for one, I thought that I don't know. I forget if they mentioned something earlier about how god tier outfits work, and I can't remember what they said. Like as far as like cleaning and stuff, and I can't remember what they said about it. But this is all supposed to be is like it's not standard issue. But then in the comic, we see Vriska and Mina going through different versions of their god tier outfit. So like even if it's not the original version, it's been canonically shown that you can make different versions of the outfit. So it just seems like they're trying to go, haha, look, Dirk's a misogynist by making Rosebot do his laundry.
Mhm.
And I don't get it, and I hate it. Anyway, I guess mild spoiler, this is a peek into Meat.
Mhm. Maybe I'll go read the Meat postscript and then the rest of Meat.
Yeah, the postscript first and then the rest of Meat. Yeah, I can't remember what the postscript in Meat is. I remembered this one was about them being on a spaceship, but I
Mhm.
didn't remember the fucking like starting out with Rosebot doing a man's laundry deal. So fucking dumb. It's so dumb.
Yeah.
But anyway, I kind of wanted to circle back onto the Vriska thing because I realized I didn't like super talk about this as much. I mean, I did kind of mention how I like the conclusions Vriska comes to about how she isn't that important, and I didn't talk about this at all because I got into the caught up in the Terezi stuff. But I meant to have a lot more notes about how like Vriska should not treat parenthetical Vriska as a role model. Like she is not a great person. The original parenthetical Vriska was actually like had a lot more going for her. She was actually happy, and that's why this parenthetical Vriska had so much like hatred towards her. And like this current Vriska should not take after parenthetical Vriska, right? It becomes an issue when there's multiple parenthetical Vriskas. There are like three Vriskas I'm talking about here. Two are the same person from different timelines, and one is just a clone, a descendant clone.
Mhm.
This is Vriska giving up on her like finally putting down her need for relevance and like you know what, maybe it was the good thing to want to be happy.
Mhm.
In the first few pages of Homestuck 2, she makes Vriska Miriam Lalonde have a new name so she doesn't have to be parenthetical Vriska anymore, so she can still be just as important as she was in original Candy or in original Homestuck,
Mhm.
because Vriska isn't allowed to have character growth. She's not.
Yeah.
Anytime she starts to have character growth, she gets retconned in order to not be like that and to still be the same Vriska, maybe with some minor adjustments, right? Because she's not 13 anymore, she's 16, so she's moved on from that cringe shit. She's not allowed to have character growth. And this was one of the things I really, really liked about the epilogues is that Vriska got to have the same character growth that other parenthetical Vriska did and kind of like not entirely pass the torch over to the new Vriska, but like I think I remembered it being a little bit more explicit of a torch passing whenever I first read it, but like still being like, you know what, don't look at me for an example. I shouldn't be like this, right? Like I should have been, I was jealous of the other parenthetical Vriska and all of that, right? And they just completely get rid of that within the first few pages of Homestuck 2. I can't remember if it's literally the first few pages. It might have started off with something different, but like the first few pages of that we see the Vriskas, their
Mhm.
first like for a while they tried to do like, look, we'll be like early Homestuck and we'll have people able to submit prompts for stuff. So it was letting the fandom name Vriska Miriam Lalonde, Frissy, by the way, is what they went with. Frissy is the new. It's dumb. I hate it. And it's just like you retconned Vriska's character growth again. You hate Vriska. She's not allowed to have nice things. So, yeah, so like one of the few good things I liked about the candy epilogues that I still really like about the candy epilogues that just gets ruined almost immediately in Homestuck 2.
Yeah.
Not to have spoilers for Homestuck 2, but like genuinely it is so early on. It's like barely spoilers.
Mm. Well, on to meat.
On to meat. Did you need anything else like recapped at the end here? Because you had said that some of this end stuff was kind of confusing, which I completely understand.
No, just I was unsure about like what was going on with chapter 40 and like nothing
Mm,
there was like not really an ending.
yeah, yeah, no. Which makes it even funnier that in the bridges and off ramps, because this was, before Homestuck 2 was announced, is like, yeah, I mean, we don't have any plans for anything that comes after. Like, I'm not telling you if we have plans. We didn't write this with necessarily plans. Like, this is supposed to be a bridge, something that comes after that, I don't know, we don't necessarily have, or we're not planning and not announcing now, which could have just been like a really bad, like, don't fucking pay attention to the fact that we have something planned. But
Mhm.
like, because they said that it was meant to feel like a bridge in a bridge and an off ramp, or however they phrased it, even if they didn't have any active plans, right? It was always meant to feel like it was going somewhere else, even if it wasn't.
Mhm.
So, also the fact that this postscript is years, that they've been looking for this planet for years, is I something I definitely didn't remember. So it's weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, and
Ooh.
who is that other person that is also on their ship?
Ooh, who knows?
So what are your thoughts about Candy?
Well, I used to think that the worst book I've ever read was a book called Warlock Holmes.
I'm sorry, that sounds great actually. What are you talking about?
Well, I mean, it sounds like they came up with the title and everything else came after. Like,
Yeah,
my cousin
yeah,
and I were trying to pair read it, and we both agreed it was pretty terrible.
yeah, fair.
But I feel like it followed general story structure and
Yeah.
had uh, a a goal.
Mhm.
This is like reading a bunch of third graders decide to write a chapter and switch off and put it together, and just the way like you know how children make movies or make stories
Mhm.
and they don't really have any sort of like pre-thought around it.
Like, there's those games where, like, one person says a word and the next person
Yeah.
does, and they have to, like, make something that they have to, like, make sentences and stuff, but it's nothing coherent.
Yeah. Or, when I used to make movies with my friends as a kid when we had like a camcorder, it was just here's where we're at for this scene. We have no script, just play a part and then we'll go on to the next scene. It was like no no planning. Yeah, that's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's to have 5 people on this, 3 main writers and 2 people assisting, and to have it come out this badly is just like, especially with 2 people that were helping out. Like, you would think that those would be like the proofreaders, right? The
Mm.
ones who'd be like, okay, I get that you all combined on this, and I don't know exact plans, but this is how it reads to me. This is like, it kind of feels like you've repeated some stuff here. Maybe you didn't realize that this was already done before. Like, you had 2 people to do that.
Or I would assume like either Hussey would make the rough outline of the entire plot, or
Yeah.
there'd be like a writer's room of like, here we're whiteboarding step A, step B, step C, and going from there. But if it just feels very much like, okay, everyone grab a chapter. We're not going to talk to each other about, we're
Yeah.
not doing this in order. We're just going to work at the same time and then put it together and not review or edit.
Like, they had a few things that they wanted to do. They had a few themes and a few, like, story beats that they were all aware was going to happen, and that's it.
Like, I don't think I could recount the events of the story in the order that they were presented to us.
Yeah, that's fair. The time skip the time jumps we had didn't help anything, especially since, like, sometimes it took them a while to, like, clue us in on the fact that it was a time skip. Like, they would have to gesture to whether someone grew a mustache or how old a baby was.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, this was a lot. Oh my god, we've been talking for 2 hours. Fuck. I should have known. Yeah, so we'll read Meat next. There are I definitely like I don't know, there are some scenes I'm thinking of that I'm like, I really don't wanna get to this part. I am not looking forward to reading this part at all. But I don't know. I think maybe I don't even know if I wanna say that more stuff will happen, in Meat than it did in Candy. I think less stuff will happen, but also more stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't
We'll
know.
see. We'll see. But yeah, fucking thank you for joining me, Moosey. Thank you for talking to me for 2 fucking hours about this. Where can people find your stuff?
Moosedy.itch.io. Do I have let's just say youtube.com. Shoot, what is my URL? I just remember like my original. youtube.com/LUSIKKAMAGE. I don't know.
Holy shit. Do you not have like a
Let me see. It might also be like Moosey Sing.
mm,
Nope, let's try Moose Sing. I've changed it multiple times. Uh Moosedy Rachel? Nope. I don't know my URL. Anyway, just go to moosedy.com.
there you go. There'll be links there for other stuff. I should have at least some of them in the description too. Extremely funny. Thank you. Yeah, so with that, we'll see you next time where we get back into Meat and hope we remember what happened before we stopped reading it.
Yeah, I'll skim my old notes or whatever, but
Yeah. Okay,
yeah.
bye-bye.
Okay.
Till next time. Thank you to Dami for composing the theme song and editing the episode. You can find other podcasts she edits, or hire her to edit your own at dominothief.card.co. Shout out to Danny the Spoon Lord, our fakest fan tier supporter. You can become a supporter and receive bonus content for as little as $1 a month at ko-fi.com/jaxyax, or simply give a one-time tip. For information on and links to my other projects, head over to jaxyax.com. Thanks again for listening.